Hey gang, it's JC and this is your daily dose for Friday, April 16th, and we want to go back and look at previous segments. You can click on the menu bar at the top of the page, JC's Daily Dose. We have big things coming here on this website over the course of the next couple of weeks. Make sure you come back every day and make sure you tell your friends that we are here at jc'ontheline.com. All right, we've never done this before. This segment, the Daily Dose, is almost a month old now, and we always try to give you a little mishmash of everything that's sort of going on in the world and in politics and in entertainment and just some cool stories and stuff like that. Today we have one topic, and I'll tell you why. Fox Sports Net, the station that you watch the Cardinals games on and the Blues and stuff like that, they are in the process of editing a special right now that's going to be airing in about a week, and it's featuring Darryl Strawberry and Jack Clark. And the topic is the big rivalry that existed between the Mets and the Cardinals in the 1980s. Now, I got interviewed for it yesterday, and of course, the topic turned to the Mets are pond scum. Now, you know my feelings about the internet. I don't like lots and lots and lots of things about the internet. And last night was just another example, because I had never done this before. Just for fun, I went ahead and I Googled the Mets are pond scum. And the information was just laughably wrong. Totally wrong. And I thought to myself, here we go again. So I thought that I would sit here and sort of talk a little bit about it today, because the real story is going to be told as part of this Fox special in about a week. But I want to tell you some cool things that probably won't get on. Let's start at the beginning. I got here in May of 1984 and quickly became enamored with the St. Louis Cardinals and just the way baseball was played and the way it was celebrated here in St. Louis. And over the course of the next couple of years, you could see this rivalry between the Mets and the Cardinals really brewing. And I kept thinking to myself, man, the Mets, people just hate the Mets, even more so than the Cubs. We got to come up with something. What could it be? It's got to be a catchphrase or a song or something. I was watching an episode of Cheers, and somebody called somebody pond scum. And I thought to myself, that's pretty degrading. That will work. So I started using the Mets or pond scum over and over and over again, every chance I got. Well, one night I'm watching Letterman, and they used to do a segment called Viewer Mail, which was exactly what it sounds like. They would answer letters from people who would write in. And there was a guy by the name of Gary Brown from St. Louis, Missouri, who wrote something about Dave's eyebrows not matching his hair, and it was just sort of a silly letter. And at the bottom, just P.S., the Mets are pond scum. Now, by the way, there was a guy on the radio here for a lot of years back in the, I guess it was 80s and 90s, by the name of Gary Records Brown. He was on like K-Gold AM radio or something. And after this whole Mets or pond scum thing, he really exploded and became popular. He tried to take credit for being the guy who wrote the letter to Letterman, and that just was a total lie. He totally made that up. Anyhow, back to the story. So now, after Letterman does it, now everybody's talking about it. We were playing that on the air, and we just thought that, wow, we've really arrived here. So now I switch stations, go over to KSD, and it is the summer of 1987. And the Mets are coming in town for a big weekend series. And we're all sitting around thinking, what can we do? We got to do something here, We used to have these big promotional meetings on Tuesday morning. And everybody was in there, just a room full of real sickos who were just trying to come up with bizarre ideas, because back in those days, we had money to do stuff. So it was actually the daughter of legendary St. Louis Blues broadcaster Dan Kelly, our friend Kathy Kelly, who worked in the promotions department at KSD, and she was like, well, what if we dragged a banner over the ballpark that said JC says the Mets are pond scum? I was like, well, if you can do that, you go ahead and you set that up. In the meantime, we started distributing the t-shirts, and we sold, I don't know, here's one of the original shirts right there. That's the original logo. And, if you go online, you see a lot of rip-off stuff. And by the way, you can't copyright the Mets or pond scum. People always ask me that. Why don't you copyright it? Well, you can't copyright somebody else's name. So anyhow, we sold about 20,000 t-shirts, and of course, it's the game, and Tom Herr comes up to bat, and it was just absolute chaos. It's the second inning, and crowd is just going nuts. The broadcasters are totally confused. The Mets on WROR with Ralph Kiner and Tim McCarver and Fran Healy. The Cardinals television network with Ken Wilson and Al Roboski. Nobody knew what was going on. And then, of course, they see the banner. Everybody starts laughing. I'm sitting down on my seats. A couple innings later, I get a tap on the shoulder. Nancy McElroy, who was sort of the media liaison between us and the Cardinals, said, Dal would like to see you in his office. That would be General Manager Dal Maxfield. I am ushered into the bowels of Busch Stadium, where Dal is sitting behind a desk. He's like, I just came back from the Mets dugout. The dugout, JC. I had to go apologize to them for what you just did. But, you know, he could have taken my head off that night, and he didn't. He actually was sort of nice about it after he just vented a little bit. He kept saying, JC, you know, we love your enthusiasm for the Cardinals, and we would just wish that you could channel it into a more positive vein. And I'm thinking to myself, this sort of sounds like what the nuns used to tell my mother and father at the parent-teacher conferences. You know, your little boy has the ability if he would only apply himself. But anyhow, we just had a great time with it. Dal actually became a friend later on. We were down at Cardinal Spring Training in St. Petersburg Beach a couple of years later, and our big group of like 7 or 8 people, Dal came over. Couldn't have been sweeter about the whole thing. And when we went to pay the bill, we found out that Dal had picked up the tab. So every time that the Cardinals and the Mets would meet again, this whole thing would start up. And by the way, if you wear one of these shirts, there's a possibility that you will be stopped at the entrance of Busch Stadium. The usher will tell you can't come in wearing the shirt. But then for the people who do get in wearing the shirts, the ushers don't see them. I think there might be some subjectivity involved in this whole usher thing, by the way. But if you wear one of the shirts, Cards-Mets game, they'll put you on the Jumbotron. So which is it? Can you not come in wearing the shirt? Or if you wear the shirt, they're going to make you even a bigger star. I don't understand what's going on down at the ballpark. But anyhow, I mean, this got on Keith Olbermann, the Fox pregame show, even got on Who Wants to Be a Millionaire with Regis talking about the whole thing. So it's just been unbelievable. Anyhow, Fox Sports Net late next week. The internet is a joke. We know that. Anyhow, this is going to be on at the tail end of next week, and we have more details about it. I'll pass it along to you next week. By the way, JC's Eye Candy today, a photo of a birthday gift that I got about 20 years ago. You just have to see it, and it's right below what you're looking at right now on JC's Eye Candy. We will be back on Monday with another episode of JC's Daily Dose. In the meantime, that's it for Friday, April 16th. In the meantime, have a good one. See you later. We've beaten this one to death.